Here we have the recently delivered Koops tulip in net bulb harvester. It arrived Friday, I think, and she's new and improved, so we've been told. But just looking around, it's definitely got a lot more improved parts. I've been told. I don't really know a lot about this. I haven't really had the full walk around, but I've just had a look around now, and I can already see there's improvements. There's a great massive new sensors here and there. That's your depth and your steering angle, I guess. No, that's just depth. Never mind. But I think I definitely did a video on this at one point. This is a new reinforced. It's got air brakes. Ooh. This is a new enforced auger for our grittier soils that we have in the UK, because we have been wearing through our augers. We actually have this. I think we've got a spare, maybe two. I can't remember for the old one, but we've been promised that this, being thicker metal, should last a lot longer. And something that I have seen, which is quite interesting, we have times on it now. So that is very cool. That's seeing that improvement. There's a lot of sensors here and there. There's a lot of bits and bobs, but there's definitely a lot more. I think it looks like the tubes, the actual frame, are out of a lot bigger stuff. Using all my technical terms to their full advantage. But we've got work lights everywhere now, so when you're changing your belt up, not your belt, your net, getting that bail out. This folds out now, so you don't have so much soil collect on it. And so your net drops from between those two wheels on the end of these rams and drops onto there. And I'm pretty sure that's a much bigger ram, because the old one just used to go. This one looks like it definitely comes all the way out, then launches it off, which is quite cool indeed. And it folds up. Oh, it's got stuck. There we go. And it folds back up, so soil doesn't interfere with it as much, I guess. But that's your levelling bar again. On the old one, when we first had it, just had a set of 2 discs here and on the other side, and it didn't work very well. And on a trip to Holland that I actually went on with Dad, Rene, who's the bloke who designs these over in Holland, he said about he'd come up with this new idea, and I think we brought the prototype off of him, which we fit to our machine, which basically just slapped in place, because the discs had hydraulics on them anyway, so it just slapped into place quite nicely. The steering system looks completely different from what I remember. Looks very tidy. That's very nice, really. And this is actually braked now. Well, again, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure the last one wasn't braked. I might be wrong. But she's on drums, and like I see 2 minutes ago, there's an airline on it, so she's definitely got brakes. And then we got these, which look a little bit nicer guarded than they used to be, because we used to have the problem of like a stone or something would get trapped behind the motor and jam the chain up, but it looks like we were a little bit more finer guarded on that, which is nice. And it looks like we've got another sensor, no idea what that does. Probably measuring the height of your bulbs, and got a manual adjustment there to do it in-house as well. It's all very shiny, and it looks like you can actually change the entire back end on that just by removing these pins. Very clever. We've got the canopy which folds up for road use as well. And this is the biggest change by far, I would say, is the operator station has moved to there, whereas it used to be practically where I'm stood here. And the reason behind that moving, apparently, is this is much more where you want to be looking at your bulbs, and up there you probably didn't have as good a view, so you probably had two people, whereas now I think this can solely be operated by one, and obviously a tractor driver. But I've got all valves and control boxes, and helpfully this one is actually labelled in English. The last one was completely Dutch. The planter, which you can see over there, that's Dutch and has been Google translated to deaf. So very nice that we've got it in English. But probably a good idea to walk through how this actually works. And for that, we'll start with the planting, I guess. Over here, we've got nicely laid out for us already our planter tractor, which is a T7 185, I believe. Yep, 185. And we used to have this rig. This is the same top rig we've had definitely since before I was born. Originally it was on top of a Massey Ferguson. I couldn't tell you the model number, but it used to be on a Massey. Then it was put onto, I think I was probably about 5 at the time, put onto a John Deere 6310, which we still have, and still has front suspension issues. I wonder why. But basic principle is you put a box of bulbs on your tine, so the special tines, so when you get to the end there, this second little ram then actuates and tips up into your hopper. And then you've got big old conveyor belt, goes along nicely, and put this ladder on when we moved onto the T7. You then got, well, cameras, top condom, then we've got a gate which allows you to have a lot of bulbs stored up here, so you can have one variety in the box on your tines, one before the gate, one after the gate. You can have quite a bit of tonnage up the top here, and we're running on very skinny wheels, which makes this quite fun. But then it comes along and drops down into this hopper here. And I didn't realise we've got a rubber sheet now. Ooh. See, stuff changes and I have no idea. If we come back down again, like, it then drops into this hopper where there is a bale of net stored just, where is it? Yeah, it's, might be a thick. I am being thick. I thought it was behind the window. Yeah, it is behind the window. Yeah, never mind. It is behind the window. I think they've just dismantled it. There's a fresh bale of net, similar to those over there. And the bulbs then pass through, goes into this sieve pan where it all lines up nicely. And then this is actually a very highly accurate counter. So on your monitors, inside your cab and all that, you then find out how many bulbs you're doing per metre and all that lovely stuff. And then it falls behind that plough, which splits the earth open, much like on a potato harvester, and plants them in one nice bed, but it drops it between two layers of nets. So when it comes to lifting again, you haven't got to worry about stones, and you pretty much get 99% of your bulbs back. You have very little wastage and very little lost. But this is the planting rig in, well, it's sort of being bit of maintenance at the minute, but that's fine. But that's how they get planted, through that. And then obviously we've got the lifter, which easy to start with. Got the auger at the front, which just removes the soil from on top of the net. Then the net gets scooped up on this web, goes all the way up that web. It's quite a short web. And then it curls back over this roller. So you flick off soil that way, then you flip it over, flip soil onto these two. Oh, these are new. Used to just have a big old sort of wedge. It's been replaced by 2 conveyor belts. That's very clever. And that's a lot better because you fling it off better at the sides. But this then throws your soil off, and then your net winds back over here, then goes, yeah, the bottom layer carries on this conveyor belt, while your top layer comes up, gets flicked about by these two, and then gets baled up between here and there. So you bale that up. The nets are reusable, but they're incredibly expensive to clean. So we just buy new. It's a lot easier. So then you've got bottom net here and bulbs on top with minimal soil. But this new machine has been modified so that apparently we're going to lose a lot more soil. So then the net follows this conveyor around and disappears under here, and then gets wound up on here and here. And I've seen there are 2 sensors on near the bale area up here, and I would hazard a guess that that would be some sort of gauge, so it knows when how big your bales are. So you're always getting roughly the same amount on your bale. So it'll alert you when you've got too much on, I would assume. But generally, you know when the bale's full because they're massive. And same down there. Honestly, I have no idea how this thing works. This is just me guessing. But I find this quite interesting. It's very unique. For the UK, we don't grow tulips outside. I just banged my head. We don't grow tulips outside, apart from us. So that's why we've also got a lovely array of spare parts. Because we've had it where we've had gearboxes go and entire frames and belts and stuff like that. And it's not like combine season where your combine breaks down and you're hoping to get some in before the rain comes. You can't just ring up your neighbour. This gets expensive when you want to ship a part the next day from Holland. Yeah, it's not quite John Deere parts, express delivery. But this used to be one belt on the old machine, but this has now got gaps for soil, so you're getting rid of a lot more. Then you drop down here and drop down here, and then you fill up a box at the end, which is all very nice. And the way this bit at the back works is this folds down and so does the other side. So you have 3 boxes on here at once. You tilt the middle one up so you don't damage the bulbs by dropping them. So you have that tilted up, and that sensor there, I would naturally assume, monitors how full the box is and begins to lower it automatically. Although there is a manual switch there as well. But there is also controls there. So, because usually you have one bloke walking behind picking up bulbs, because some do drop out. It's just how it works. It just drops out a little bit. So then that box gets full. You have your mate with his front end loader. He comes, skips it up, puts it on the trailer, brings you a fresh box, and so you can keep going on. This chain mechanism pushes this stand out and pushes a new box in place. Just slides along them rails onto your rollers, tilts it back up, starts filling again. And you can hold the bulbs back on this quite a way, because I think you slow down the belts and the belt does move in and out a little bit, I think. But don't hold me on that because I can't remember. yeah, this is the farm's new lifter. And I was just pottering about and I just thought I'd have a little look round and show it off a bit. So it's quite smart. And hopefully I'll get a bit of drone footage when we finally get it out, which will be some point next month, I think. Well, we'll definitely be using it next month. Whether or not I edit a video is another question. Because I think we can all guess what I'm like at the minute with releasing videos. Yep. We're not forgetting you. We're not forgetting you at all. But yeah, that hasn't changed since the last weekend. But I will do that big update video. Because, well, I've definitely got people keep asking me about it.